Hello, welcome to the AMTC 2022 interview series. Today I have been joined by Francisco Betti from the World Economic Forum. Hi Francisco, thank you so much for joining us today. Your remit as Head of Advanced Manufacturing and Production at the World Economic Forum involves managing a global platform for shaping the future of advanced manufacturing and production. That's quite a mouthful, but that's a huge remit. So can you just share some of your insights from that perspective and what that means for industries around the world?
It is a broad scope indeed, but a very exciting one. I think that what we are looking at in a nutshell is how through technology, the technologies of the fourth industrial revolutions, companies are driving the transformation of production systems and value chains at large. And think about not just transformation in terms of the digitization of the shop floor, right? That drives, of course, cost reduction, efficiency, productivity, but more broadly, how that's impacting value chains in a way that companies can, for example, unlock innovation and new business models. How can they drive sustainability and meet their net zero targets and commitments? How they can go circular, right? Enabling reuse, recycling, remanufacturing, but also, and most important, we know the future of manufacturing is about technology and people, so how technologies are making the shop floor more engaging for operators, for engineers, and creating a new space for future talent. Maybe the final note on what we do is that what is unique about the forum is that we work not just with private sector companies, but we look at these big questions and challenges also with governments, academia, and civil society. We take what we call a multi-stakeholder approach.
So you're bringing all those different groups together and enabling collaboration?
We are bringing all stakeholders who have a say or played a role in the production environment to shape the future, to play an active role, not just having conversations on what's coming next, what we can learn from the past, but also driving specific projects, initiatives, collaborations and partnerships that then help us move the agenda forward.
And is that across a lot of different industry sectors?
Well, we are working with over 150 organizations that come from across 21 industry sectors.
Wow, 21.
21.
That's a lot.
And the main reason is that the more sectors you're able to engage, the higher the chances of throwing learnings that are at the intersection of those sectors. I mean, think about additive, but also about the broader set of advanced manufacturing technologies, whether you're adopting them in a harbor, in a warehouse, and for different applications. Of course, the size of the machine, of the components are going to be different, but some of the operating principles, some of the learning, some of the strategies to the project
knowledge sharing
can always be the same. So
very valuable.
That's why it's very, very interesting to look across value chains and sectors.
Brilliant. Okay, so within that context then, and it's a great framework that you've provided there, how does additive manufacturing fit in specifically?
I think it's one of the key technologies we are looking at. Now, let me mention that the approach we are taking is not to look at technologies as standalones, but to look at the specific operational and business issues that manufacturing companies and manufacturing ecosystems more broadly are trying to address. And once we are clear on those challenges, on those issues, on those problems, then we look at technologies as enablers. But we look at them for the incubation, formation, ideation of use cases, practical applications that can help unlock those very practical and clear challenges. Now, if you ask me about additive, I think it's one of those technologies that has the highest potential to transform the way in which traditional manufacturing is taking place today, especially in a global context in which companies and governments are discussing about how to rewire value chains, how to build resilience, how to be closer to customers, how to enable customization, tailoring, on-demand production. I think that the potential is we are still at a stage in which a lot of work has to be done, but the potential is pretty huge.
Yeah, I mean, supply chain resilience keeps coming up over and over again. I mean, the last couple of days in particular, but the last 12 months have really highlighted that, I think.
We covered that in the last panel, and if you need to build resiliency, you need technologies that can allow you to be more flexible and more agile.
Yes.
You need technologies that allow you to be sustainable. There's no resiliency without sustainability. Some of the disruptions that we are facing today are not just related to geopolitical conflict, to the slowdown of the economy, or to pandemics, but also related to climate change, right? So I think that thinking about the role that technology plays in building resiliency for agility, flexibility, productivity, for sustainability, for workforce retention and attraction. Additive and other advanced manufacturing technologies make the shop floor a much more engaging and exciting place for new generations. And every company is fighting for talent today. So we really need to look at resiliency and additive and technologies in a holistic way.
Also, in terms of what you were saying about the shop floor as well, skills are really important.
And that's probably where we have one of the major gaps.
Yes, absolutely. So are there any solutions there? Is it just about education? Is it about...
Education can help, and I think that it's a must, and it starts with universities.
Exactly.
Why are we not, teaching additive as part of the regular official curricula, right, of the engineering courses? I think that it has to come in as a major driver of the future of engineering production and the way in which manufacturing will happen. But also when it comes to education, it's not just students and the workforce to come. It's also middle management, it's senior engineers, it's upskilling, those who are in the company today, but also educating boards. I don't think that boards and C-level executives
really
have all understood what is the real potential that additive, what the real potential that additive and other technologies can deliver.
Moving forward then, which kind of takes me to my next question. So you've been there for 5 years and you must have seen some really key changes in that time. Can you just point to maybe a couple of the main ones, but also how you see things progressing in your vision for the next 5 years?
I think that over the 5, if you look at the past 5 years, we were on a trajectory in which manufacturing, supply chain, and digital transformation was taking a bigger and a bigger role progressively. But then with COVID-19, we saw a massive acceleration.
Absolutely.
Now, why that acceleration? I think that beyond the level of maturity of the technology, that of course has made significant progress, beyond the fact that there's a huge opportunity to disrupt not just operations but also business models and therefore unlock growth. I think it's because everyone realized with the pandemic the importance that resilient manufacturing and supply networks and ecosystem have for the well-being of our society, for our day-to-day life, right? Where products are not on the shelf, that creates a broad set of issues that we all need to be able to address and handle. So there was a significant, if you ask me what is the main takeaway, is that we have gone through a massive mindset change.
Because of the pandemic?
Because of the pandemic accelerated. It's because of the pandemic, but also because of the progress technology has made and what is possible. The new entrants that came into manufacturing thanks to new technologies, digital transformation, and disrupted certain markets. And also because of the new imperative on sustainability that is forcing us to rethink not just our production, but also our consumption models.
Absolutely. The consumption is a big deal. So looking ahead then, what's the main thing you would like to see happen in terms of what you've just said? What would be your priority?
I could say that when you look at additive, if we really want to transform the way in which we make things and take additive to scale, the first imperative is collaboration. So we need to break down silos. We can't be having regional and even country level conversations only, right? We need to start sharing knowledge. We need to start joining forces on the research front in a pre-competitive space to develop new materials, to agree on qualification needs, to develop new standards.
And without fear and favor, really.
Without fear, and if we don't do that, it's going to be pretty hard to scale. So I think that breaking silos and unlocking collaborations is something that we need to be all working towards.
From today, I think the tone and the language around that, without fear, has changed. I can see a difference even from the last couple of years. People realise they can't do it on their own, and they're looking to partner up with people.
I agree, and you see that just by looking at all the great companies who are taking part in this conference, right? You see that from the speakers who were on stage this week. I think we are leaving fear behind, but still, there's much more than can be done, and we need to start sharing experiences. What are not just the best practices, but what are the failures? And what can we learn from those?
Yes.
And everyone is still afraid of saying what didn't work and wasn't the investment that was not worth, right? So again, yes, a lot of progress, a lot of positive developments in this conference is a great sign of how collaboration is being taken to the next level, but still a long way to go. And maybe the other thought is we need to be discussing probably less about cost, technology readiness, and more about the impact that additive and advanced manufacturing technology more broadly are having on business models and society. Because it's by broadening the conversation that we'll be able to bring a larger number of players who are trying to address those issues today into the work that the community is doing.
Okay, well I think on that note, it's probably a really good place to end our discussion today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.